Okay. Okay, guys. So we're passing those USBs around. We're going to copy the project over. So I'll just go through a brief introduction to what this project is. It's called Battle for Valor. There's an original project called Quest for Valor that was created by the previous level design instructor, Scott Morin, for the VFS level design course. And the students stepped through creating a standalone playable game over the course of two game courses. One of them is Level Design 3, and the other is Mission Design. So using those together, they create a Legend of Zelda style adventure game with a built-in quest system and an overworld to go along with it. Okay, so third-person adventure. It's created and owned by Scott Morin. So just a short caveat about this. This content is owned by Scott. So you're going to create a final game at the end of this, and we want you to share with your friends and family and show them. But please don't distribute all of this stuff online. This is his content, and we'd like to keep that his. So if you can do that, that would be great. The issue with Quest for Valor, we could just teach you guys the Quest for Valor project. It's huge, right? You're creating an entire dungeon and an overworld in a Zelda-style game, so it's a huge task. In VFS, they do this over the course of about 3 months, 2.5 months or so, and so we don't have the time to really go through all of that. So what we've done is pared the whole thing down and created Battle for Valor. And so the idea here is it's an arena-based game where we're going to spawn in enemies in waves, and you'll fight those enemies, defeat them, and then get a score at the end. Okay, and there'll be some other things we're going to add in, like health pickups and things of that nature. Okay, but by the end of this 3 days, we're going to have a fully playable standalone game. It's going to have its own executable, and it'll be able to start and quit and play through the whole thing. Okay, does that sound cool? Yeah, maybe. We'll see how it goes. So we're just going to copy those files right now, and once you have that loaded up, we will go into Unreal. Yeah, it's pretty big. 10 minutes still? Oh boy. Well, that's getting better. Well, I can show you guys some more about Unreal. Do you guys want to build some simple geometry? Maybe we'll just play around a little bit while we're waiting for that. So if you've still got your interface map open, we can do it in there. And if you close that, you can reopen it for now. So let's place in some objects and mess around a little bit. So if we go over to our modes tab, which could be on this side or it might be over here for you guys. Let's put it back in here. Okay, we're going to place some of these things called BSPs. So I'm going to click on the BSP tab here and select that. And BSP stands for a binary space partition. It's a certain way of rendering that is very it's designed for a CPU specifically, so it's very efficient. Okay, but it's not great for detail. So we're going to do some just simple shapes here. So if you want, you can go to BSP, and then we'll just create a box here. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag that in to my world. I'm going to place it maybe in the corner here. And there we go. We placed a shape. Easy as that. Okay, I'm just going to line it up with the ground here. If you notice, it's snapping to a grid. That's controlled up at these little counters up here, where I can actually, this one's the grid snap. I can turn that off and on, but we always say in VFS level design, never turn off the grid. And right now it's set to 10 Unreal units, which Unreal units actually 250 or 100. Yeah, yeah. They just simplify it in the editor. So you can switch that. You can also use the hotkeys of the square brackets to switch between the different apps. Okay, so I can go between 10, 50, 100, and 50. So I can do that. Another name for these is brushes. So what we can do here is Mr. Antonio. So we have X, Y, and Z here. So this is the actual size of that cube. So we can change that to whatever we want. So if I want my X to be more like 600, I can do that, and it instantly changes the shape of this. Now, yeah. How do you rotate? That's a good question. Let's get into that in a second. But for some of you guys, you might not see this update right away. Has anyone tried changing the size and it doesn't actually change the size of the box, or is it working for everybody? If for some reason it's not working, you can go to Edit, Editor Preferences, and you want to scroll down. That's working for you guys? Okay, so maybe you guys already have it enabled. If you go to Level Editor Miscellaneous, you want to make sure that this guy's turned on. Update BSP automatically. So that was Edit, Editor Preferences, Level Editor Miscellaneous, and just make sure Update BSP automatically is checked. Okay. Okay, so now you're asking how we can rotate things and scale things. Really easy to do. You can use the space bar, and it will switch our widget from translate, which is the first one, moving, to rotate. Okay, and it's similar kind of idea. You can rotate on any of the three axes here just by hovering over it, and then we rotate. Okay, that was with the space bar. So just make sure you have the object selected and then hit the space bar and you can swap between. Now this third one is the scale tool, and that allows you to stretch and squash the shape. For BSPs, we never want to use the scale tool, okay? The scale tool actually messes with the mathematics that's going on. For regular models, that's okay, but for BSPs, we don't use that. So if you want to change the size of something, you use the numbers here, okay?
You can drag as well with the numbers. So if you go over mouse over the numbers, you can sort of like drag it, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So it works as like kind of like scaling if you don't want to go in and hand type the numbers.
Using the box shapes. You guys can use cylinders too if you want, but and yeah, throughout this whole process, if you guys get lost, if you're confused, just put up your hand, and either Steven will come around and help out, or I can help out. So I'll just talk through this a bit. So I'm just creating some walls here. Okay, actually I'll put it here. Go 800. I'm on the wrong grid snap here. Okay, now you can easily duplicate shapes. If you hold down the Alt key and then move the shape or rotate the shape, it'll create a second version. So I can easily just move that over and create a second wall. Okay? That was with the Alt key, holding down Alt while you move it. There's other ways to do it. You can select something and you can copy and paste. Oh, I have to have the shape selected. Yeah, so I've created a few there. Now if I move this, we've got a few shapes. And if I end up with too many, just delete key when you have it selected. Real simple. Okay. And maybe let's get a ceiling going here. We can select multiple shapes too, if you want to just hold Control.
Okay, we didn't get a USB. What I'm going to ask you to do is, I'm going to pass these USBs to one other person that has a USB. You please copy and paste the folder onto that USB, and then pass it to somebody who does not have a USB. So copy and paste.
This is PSP.
Copy and there, and paste it on the right one.
You want to take it?
Yeah.
So this PSP.
Okay, so just creating some walls.
You guys have a USB? You guys have a USB here? Either of you have a USB?
That's it.
You guys have USB here?
Who is still waiting to?
Do you have the one with the Yes? Do you have the
Okay, I've created some walls here. Create a ceiling for this.
You're going to copy that whole folder? It's not a serious folder. USB with the files on there. You can get it on there. You want to do it? File on there. You guys can go to the
Is anybody else able to create a room yet? So I've got a little room here created. If you guys don't, that's okay. So now I'm going to, right now it's pretty dark. Yeah, so they're gonna not focus. Okay.
One more.
Awesome. Thank you. Is anybody not copying yet? Does anyone still need a USB? Yeah.
Just copying the folder system. Great, great.
If you want to play, or if you want to put lights in your level, you can just hold the L key and then left click, and that'll create a little point light. Okay. Miguel, where'd he go? You tricked me. Let me see. Okay.
It's massive folder, right? Yeah, when you guys are done with transferring the files, just raise your hand, we'll come around and pick it up, okay? That's not somebody else.
This USB key wasn't working. We tried it on the computer. Didn't get the file on it. It wasn't even getting picked up. It doesn't get picked up by then.
Let's see if I can reformat it.
We have another one.
That's the empty one I gave him on the phone.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
That's a massive folder. Yeah.
It's pretty big. Yeah.
The other game was like what, like 7 gigs? I think it's way
that
better.
Uh,
Full game.
Who needs a USB?
yeah, 700. Yeah.
Who needs the files?
1 point. Yeah, it's about 1.5 gigs.
It's like
Yeah, I probably should have like zipped it or something.
I guess. Yeah.
That's like 2020.
Hmm.
Anyway.
It's all like
It's part of it. Yeah.
yeah. They're still enjoying it.
Now my lighting seems a little weird here. Oh, awesome. So that last one was just blank. Yeah, Miguel. I don't know why. Yeah. This one's still. Yeah. Make sure it's on here. Yeah, we got it on here.
You know you having fun? I think this is
Who else needs a USB to transfer the files? Yeah.
Once they get it, it'll pick up.
Yeah, that's good.
They have these computers are slow, so you probably have the USB, so they probably USB.
Right, right.
It's just always like you one. Whenever you guys can do this, like we'll.
Why don't I show you guys some more exciting stuff while we're waiting?
Do you have your original USB tester?
I do. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So there's that one.
It's a folder called Sisler.
Show them some epic maps. Get them excited.
Is that? Oh, you got it installed, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool to show them like a finish,
Mm-hmm.
like AAA style. So one thing that's really interesting is Unreal Tournament, like I mentioned earlier, has its own editor connected to everything. So you can download the Unreal Tournament editor, and that comes with like weapon pickups and player models and spawns and like more game-like stuff out of the box.
Right.
Was the command to duplicate? Was it Alt something?
Yeah. If you hold down Alt and then you move the object, it'll create a second. Yeah. You can also Control D to duplicate if you need to.
Yeah, there you go.
Come on. Almost there, guys. I don't know if we'll be able to get the enemy in. I don't know if there'll be time.
At least this will be like not an issue tomorrow.
Right. Right. Awesome. Thank you.
And like they seem, you know what I mean? They seem pretty smart, so I think
Yeah.
we can maybe go faster.
We'll go a little faster, Bill. This looks like it froze. That's great. Not having any luck today. Here we go. What's interesting? So how many people have the files copied over at this point? Just put your hand up. Okay. Okay, we're getting there. We can wait a little longer. Which one, sorry? The interface one you can close if you want. Yeah, the interface map, you can close that down if you want.
Yeah, if you have the file copying or like ready to go, just close the project to start it. Unreal's a bit of a hog with the processor.
Well, this might be Google Hangouts slowing things down.
Is it recording? No.
Yeah, yeah. It's not doing anything now. Okay, okay. But it's gonna take too long, I think. We'll just get going. They can be, yeah, yeah. I have another one here. If that one's not going, you try that one.
Drag the whole folder.
This way. Okay.
Anybody else get a USB?
Anybody else need the USB?
Okay, nice.
This looks like like padded strings that they stick like for people who are insane. This looks like
The soft room, the special room.
yeah.
Yeah, Arthur Simon room.
Okay, guys. So let's, for those of you who have the files loaded, let's load up the map. So if you go to the Epic launcher, there's a couple ways to do this. If you guys see the Quest 410 in the My Projects, you can just double click that. If you don't, that's okay too. What you want to do is, let's just close this and show you. So we're going to launch 411. So I just launched 411. Just wait for it to come up. Almost there. Okay, and then we'll get this here. And if you don't see Quest as an option, you go to Browse down at the bottom. And then you want to find where you placed that folder Sisler. For me, it's in the Unreal folder here. You're going to open up that folder called Battle. And then you're going to choose the Quest U project to open. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah, it'll probably just say Quest on your guys' machines. You guys need me to do that again? To show you? Okay, so when we're at this screen here, we're going to go down to Browse. And we're going to find that Sisler folder, wherever we put it on our computer. We're going to go into the Battle folder. And then you should see one called Quest that has the Unreal logo beside it. And that's what we're going to open. Okay? Now it'll say it's been made with a different version. That's okay. We can just open copy. It's going to create a copy. Okay.
Just opens up like the table.
Okay, so you're in my documents, and I just want to find where you copied that folder. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's all of it.
Open that up.
There we go.
All right, we've been relaxing too long here. Let's make some games, okay? Let's load this up. Okay, So there, I've got that. The shaders are compiling. Okay, so we're going to create this game Battle for. Some of the content's been created already for us, but a lot of the scripting of the actual gameplay is going to be done by us, okay? So it's an arena combat game. We're going to fight hordes of enemies and try our best to stay alive. You can collect hearts and gold to survive and win. Okay, so this is the player character, Juno. She's a barbarian. She's crazy. She's got one facial expression no matter what's happening around her, so you know she's a psychopath. So she's our playable character. So that is our main character that the player actually uses, okay? So we'll call that the PC or the playable character or the player character. These are the verbs that she uses. These are the, when we come to the game design, these are the actions that she can perform. So we have move, we have attack, and we have block, okay? And that's all she can do. She has a couple of resources. She has health, and she has gold. And gold is going to be used as more of a score than anything for this example, okay? So that's Juno. All right, so let's open up our map. We're going to, it should open automatically, but if it didn't, you want to go to the content browser, and you want to go to maps. Let me do that. We're going to go content browser. Going to go to the maps folder, and we want Battle for Valor 01. Okay. It wants to give me some errors. That's great. And if we go back to our viewport, this is what we should see. Just going to move my modes thing over here. Okay, this is our little starting room for our main character. I'm going to turn up the lights here a little bit just for... Yeah. It should be bright. Not showing dark. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So we have our main area. And so let's play. Let's try it out. Okay, let's see what Juno can do. So I'm going to hit the play key. And what the heck? We got nothing. I can't even move. Okay? We haven't actually spawned the player character. That's our first step before we can see Juno and see what she can do. So that's the first thing we're going to script. So we're going to go to blueprints. And we're going to open the level blueprint. Stephen talked about the level blueprint. So this is for our level, this is the script we're going to create. And all of this works within that one level. And so it controls all events within that specific level. If we open up another level, it's not going to have any of the same scripts, okay? It's just for that specific level. This is an example of a level blueprint. A lot of this is what we're going to be creating later. And the important thing is we can communicate between blueprints. So you can have blueprints attached to specific characters like Juno or like the enemies, and we can communicate between those blueprints. And we'll show you how to do that later, okay? So let's get Juno in here. So first thing we want to do is we want to have a begin play node. So that was the event. So remember, it's right click to get our little toolkit out here. And we're going to go event, begin, play. Okay. And we'll click on that. So again, it was right click, event, begin, play, and choose it in the list. Okay.
A quick comment as well. If you already have one in the blueprint, which it might for you, it will like zoom to it because you can't have more than two. Like we discussed, like you can't do two things when you begin at once. So if you already have an event begin play, you can't spawn another one in.
Create a new one, yeah.
Wherever it is, and drag it to it.
Okay, was everyone able to get that in there? Event begin play. Okay, so from that, we need to actually spawn in Juno, okay? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna drag and create a wire off of begin play. I'm gonna let that go, and it'll show us what kind of actions we can execute. Now the cool thing about it is you can see it checked here is context sensitive. So when we drag from a specific node, it'll only give us things that we can do after that node, okay? And sometimes it gets in the way, but a lot of the times it'll let you know exactly what you can create and what you can't. So I'm going to search here. I'm going to go spawn actor. You can see it appears at the top here. Spawn actor from class. Okay, and you guys know classes? You guys messed with classes in C#? Sort of, a little bit. So a class is kind of like a real life blueprint of an object of whatever you're creating in the world. Okay, so it has all these kind of attributes that are already assigned to it. So say in this case, a player character might already have attributes of how fast it moves, how gravity affects it, so its jump height and things like that might already be built into the class. And what we're doing is we're saying create something from that that guide, that blueprint. I don't want to use blueprint because this is called blueprint and it's confusing, but it's basically like a blueprint. So we've got this spawn actor node, and right now it doesn't have any class assigned to it, so we have to actually do that first. So at this purple tab here, we're going to select our class. Okay, so I'm going to click the drop box here, and I'm going to just type in Juno, Juno, and we'll get quest character underscore Juno, and that's the one we want to start with. Okay, so if you didn't see that, it was go to the purple tab that says class, click on the drop down, and type in Juno, and then select quest character Juno. All right, we've got the spawn. Awesome. Now, if I compile my code, because I want to actually spawn her, we get an error message. And this is what Stephen was talking about earlier. It needs some more information. So at the bottom, it actually tells us what kind of error messages we have. And you can see here, it says the spawn transform pin is invalid, okay? Because we haven't given it one. So it doesn't know where to spawn Juno. It doesn't know where to put her, okay? So we have to assign that. Do you guys know, have you ever heard of a transform? Do you guys have used transforms in Unity? Okay, I won't go into exactly what that means, but let's figure out how we can get the transform that we want to spawn her at. So I'm just going to minimize my blueprints window for a second, and I'm going to go into the world, and I've already created a player start point, and this is where we are going to spawn Juno in. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight it, make sure it's selected, and I'm going to go back to my blueprints window with it still highlighted. Okay, and what I can do now is right click, just like we did before when placing nodes, and it's actually at the top here. It's given us 3 new options. We can add an event for player start 1, call a function on player start 1, or we can create a reference to the player start 1. Okay, and what we want to do is create a reference. So I'm going to choose that option. Okay, and it creates this little node just for our player start. There's another way to do this. If you like hotkeys, you can just press R and then left click. And as long as you have that object selected, it'll create a reference to that object. Okay, very useful if you are working fast. Okay, but we only need one. So I've got the one here, and it comes with a little pin as well. And this pin allows us to get information from that object. Okay, so I'm going to pull a wire off of this and let it go. And what are we looking for again? We want to find the spawn. What part of the spawn are we looking for, though, specifically? Do we want the spawn? Do we want the location of that spawner, right? We want to know where that is in the world. So I'm going to look for transform. Oh, great! That's perfect. Yeah, it's pretty small. And in the list here, look for get actor transform. Okay, you can type that whole thing in if you want, if that's easier. but you want get actor transform, and I will select that. And it's a little function that pulls the transform information into Blueprint. You guys want to see that whole process again? Okay, so I minimized Blueprint. I select my spawn point, go back into Blueprint, and I'm going to right click, and near the top there is create a reference to player start, and that's the one I want. So I'll select that, and that creates this node. And now I want to pull off of the blue pin on player start, and I want to type in transform, and then I want to choose from the list get actor transform. So you'll notice there's a lot of color coding going on here. You can see now that we've got a transform, we have an orange pin, and the spawn transform is looking for an orange pin, so we're good. So I can actually drag from this orange pin into spawn transform. You want to go from the orange to the orange. Okay, were you guys able to get that? Now if I try to compile, the error message is gone. Okay, nice. So we got Juno. We got Juno spawning. Let's try it. What the heck? Still nothing. Can anyone guess why that is? Oh, is it still saying error for you? Make sure you go up and hit the compile button, and the error should go away. Okay, so it's not because there's an error. Do you any other guesses why that would be? An instigator. That's interesting. So that's sort of on the right track. So we've spawned in this character, but we haven't told them that we want the player to control that character. Okay. Right now we're just spawning in the actor, and if I could move the camera around, I would see Juno standing there, but we can't actually use her. So we haven't assigned the player to that character. So that's the next thing we have to do. So if I go through the slide here, so there's just some information on that, but let's transform. You guys know about transforms. We've connected that. So there's a couple other factors we need to take into account here. The first thing is the player controller. So what Unreal does is it separates the player character from the player controller. Anybody know why we would do that? Why would we need that? Any guesses? So why is the player controller separated from the player character inside the code? Why would they do that? They're two separate objects. Yeah.
Is it so that we can move the camera?
That's part of it, yeah. So there's more to it than just moving the character around. But another thing is, what if you're playing a game like maybe like a real-time strategy game, or a game where you can actually swap characters? We wouldn't want all of the controller information built onto each character. That would be a waste, right? So if we keep the controller separated, we can just possess different characters or different actors in our world with that one controller. Okay.
Functions for each.
Yeah, they have their individual functions, and
we're just linking it.
and then we're linking it. Yeah. So what we're calling it with is something called in Unreal they call it possession.
Yeah.
So think of the controller as sort of your marionette controller with strings, and we are possessing a specific character. In this case, it's going to be the player character Juno. Okay. So yeah, just to step through it. So you have a controller and what's called a pawn, which is that's just Unreal's way of describing a character that can be moved around. And so we're going to connect those two together, okay? And we use what's called a possess node, okay? But we need an important piece of information first. We need to get the actual player's controller so we can communicate with it. So if I right-click into the space here, I'm going to type in get player controller. And if you see just as I put in C, I've got some options like get player character, get player camera manager. So these are all things that we can access later. What we want is get player controller though, okay? Okay. So did you guys see that? Do you want me to redo that one more time? So if I get rid of that, I just right click and I'm going to get player controller. All right, now it's got this little player index. We don't have to worry about that. That's for multiplayer. So if we had 16 players, we could set a specific one. But it's just for this one player. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off of the return value here, because that lets us communicate with the player controller. I'm going to let that one go. And I'm going to type in possess. Okay, we get two options, possess or unpossess. So that's how you would stop the player from controlling that one character. You'd use unpossess. But we're going to use possess here. So we've created another function here called possess. And all that's going to do is it's going to assign our controller to that specific actor. So we've got it here. We've got this target for our player controller. That's good. Now we need to actually make it run. So we need to drag a pin from spawning the actor to possess. And that'll make it actually execute that function. Okay. Do you see that? I just go from this pin across to this pin. Okay. And then we need to tell it what pawn we're actually taking control of. Right now it doesn't know. What we can do is use this value here, because this tells us what pawn we just spawned. Okay, which is our character Juno. So I'm going to drag from this to the in pawn.
Just you do this in the quest character, right? Or what you?
No, sorry, this is in the level blueprint.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, do you guys need me to go through that one more time? Or did you get that? So I create the possess node, create the get player controller node, and I link the get player controller into target, and the return value from our spawn into in pawn. Now let's see what happens. I'm going to compile it. I'm going to minimize this, and I will play. Hey, it's Juno. And I've got a camera. Yeah, it's dark for some people. I'm not sure why the rendering is different for you guys. But you can't move around. If you left click, you can attack. I can chop stuff up. Oh, everybody's getting excited. And if I right click, I can block. Okay? Good time, good time. Steven just brought up a really important point. It's time to save before anything crashes. Okay, so I'm going to go up and I'm going to save this file. Okay, you guys had a question in the back? Guys in the corner, did you have a question?
They do more specific, but look at saving.
Okay.
Because they'll need these files for tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're going to be using this tomorrow as well.
Okay, just for you guys, when you guys are saving, go to the D drive of the computer, make a folder with your name on it, and that's where you're going to save it. Save it on a D drive. So those that are from Sisler already know saving stuff on the D drive.
Okay.
Those that are new, save on the D drive. Okay. And remember what computer you have for tomorrow. They all have little numbers. It's a thin one, thick one. Okay.
And sorry, when we save.
Hey guys.
Yeah, when you save, it's going to save into that battle folder. Okay, you can't really change that right now. So what you have to do is you have to move that whole battle folder. You'll have to close down Unreal, move that whole battle folder into the D drive. Okay, that's how it's going to be saved. And if that doesn't work out tomorrow, I'm going to have a backup version that you can just use. So it's, yeah, if it doesn't work out, that's fine. Okay, so we've got Juno. She can attack and she can block. Okay, we're not going to go into making those happen, but she can't move around. So this is when we need to actually create some movement functionality, okay? Oh, yeah, I forgot something very important. Commenting. So we've created a little bit of code here, a little bit of functionality. I'm just moving stuff, making it look a little cleaner because things are going to get a lot more complex. So you can just move stuff around the way you want it. And you can comment code in this just like you would comment in C#. What I do is I left click on the background and I drag a box to select all of my nodes. And that's just for the nodes that I want to comment. And then I'll hit C on the keyboard. And it generates this box. And all this box does is it just creates a comment. It's just like hitting the two backslashes. It doesn't actually do anything in code. It just allows us to comment and make the code clear to other users. Okay, so right here I'm going to type in spawn, Juno, and possess. Okay, and now if I accidentally clicked off or something, I can just left click on that title and it'll allow me to rewrite it if I need to. You can also click on the box here, okay, the text bubble. So we want to always be commenting our code, okay? Because as things get more complex, we're going to need to go back and change specific things, and we want to be able to know what's what. All right? Any questions about how I did that?
Find Juno when it's connecting to assets.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. When they do the type in part?
Yeah, or when they just drag in, look for assets or something that appears.
Oh, okay, okay. Who's having trouble finding Juno?
Okay, so I just we'll after state it right now and we're just drag everything. So what you did is you can't find the actual code. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So I wasn't able to get it downloaded.
Oh,
Tomorrow,
okay.
by any chance, because it's just going slow, would I be able just to get from where we are right now?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have a finished version, and then you can take from it. Okay.
Start off from where we left off.
Yeah, yeah. How are you doing, guys? Feeling good? Bless you. So we're gonna do one more thing today before we wrap up. We're going to create the actual movement for Juno. Okay. Is everyone sort of at this stage now where we have Juno spawning? Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she appears with yeah. And then you can. Let's try setting up. There it is. Yeah, you can move around them. The attenuation is how wide. They're recording it right now. I don't know it's going to be a little bit louder. I'm going to give them the power button. Okay, can we get one more component done, and then we'll all enjoy lunch. Okay, so what we need to do is create the movement option. So we need to be able to listen for player movement input, and then we need to be able to make Juno move. Okay. Now we can't really do this on the level blueprint because that's all level specific. Okay, so I'm actually going to close the level blueprint for now. I'll just X that. And I need to go to my content browser. Okay. And what I want to do is go to blueprints in these content folder options here. Go to blueprints. If you guys don't see this, it's because you need to show the panel here. Okay. Can you guys, everyone got that open? So you can see the blueprints folder. We're going to go blueprints. We're going to go to characters. And we're going to open up quest character. Okay, it's got a little picture of Juno there. We're going to double click on that. And it's going to open. No, not the one with underscore. So that one you can just close. Just quest character. Yeah. Okay, and there's all kinds of code going on here, and you can see it's nicely commented. Okay. Now you can see, you guys can look at this later if you want to see like how it's detecting the mouse movement and how it's doing the attacks and the blocking, how to update the health, all that stuff is in there. And it goes even deeper than that if you go into some of the functions. But let's worry about creating that movement. Okay. Did it work okay? No. Okay, so let's do the first step here. We want to be able to get the forward and backwards information from the controls. Okay, so I'm going to right click. I'm going to go input. Okay, because input is the beginning of all of our, when we want to pull inputs. And this could be for touch controls. It could be for motion controls. Any kind of input is started with that. Okay, so we want input and then axis, AXIS. And you can see we've got some options. There's looking, and then there's moving and turning. Okay, so we want move forward. We're going to do that first. And that's created a forward movement event. So anytime.
We have around, let's say, like 3 more minutes.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll stop for the day, and then we'll pick up, just remind them to save their work.
Okay, so we'll do this quick.
Yep.
We just want to get this part, and we'll be good. Okay, so we're going to get the forward movement, and we need to actually So anytime the player presses forward on the controls, this is going to fire something, okay? I'm going to pull off a pin from that. And we want to do add movement. Oops. You'll see you'll get add movement input. Okay? Add movement input is the function. Now we've got a green pin here for scale value, and we've got a green pin on our event. We're going to connect those up. Yeah, the autosave really chugs the computer sometimes. Okay, a couple more options we need. So the target has already been put in as self, and because we are on Juno's blueprint, this is self. Okay, it's self that we're adding movement to, so we can leave that. And the last thing we need is the world direction. Okay, and this, what we want is the direction the camera is facing is what we want her to move in the forward. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to grab some information here. We need to get character. Oops, get player character, I should say. So get player character. And what we want is, again, we want to get transform. No, actually, we don't want that. What do we want? We want yeah, we want the movement direction. Get control rotation. Okay, that's a little different. Sorry about that. We actually need the controller rotation. We don't need the player rotation. So we get control rotation. Okay, did you guys see that? Get control rotation. And what we get here is a purple pin. What we need is a yellow. Okay? And what a yellow represents is a vector. You guys messed with vectors at all in C#? You know what that is? Okay, so it's just 3 float numbers representing a point. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull off of this purple one. We're going to go into space and we're going to say get forward vector. All right. So this is always going to be the forward vector of Juno. Whenever she's facing a direction, we're getting that vector, and we're going to return that value to the direction that we're moving or that we're adding our movement input to. Okay, I'm going to compile. And let's just try that, make sure it's working. If I press forward, I go forward. If I press back, I go back. Because the forward and back are linked together, what it does is when you press back, it just gives a negative value for forward movement, okay? So that way we don't have to do forward and backward. Okay, almost there. One last step, we need the side-to-side movement. So let me just do that real quick. Input, axis. Oops. Now we need to move right. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use this same rotation so we don't have to create another one. Drag off of it. Get right vector. Boom, choose that. We'll create another movement input. The cool thing about these is you can copy and paste them. Okay. And we're going to drag that into that, this into this, and oops, from the pin to execute. And this is what we're left with. And if I compile, play, I can now move her around in all directions. And I can attack this, if I want, attack some barrels, and I can run around blocking. Okay? Now I went through that kind of fast. if you're not caught up to it, that's okay. Tomorrow we're gonna start from here, and I'll have a copy of the file that's at this point that you guys can just copy over. Okay. So thanks. Sorry, I ran a little late there. We just had some issues copying it, but tomorrow we'll do a lot more. Okay.
Thank you. So guys, save, and then when you close Unreal, look for the folder where you saved it and drag it to the D drive. Save it first. Okay, look. Click on save. See where you saved it. See where that folder is. Probably on your desktop. Drag it to your D drive. Make sure you remember what it's called, and remember what computer you have for tomorrow. Not too much of a problem because we do have backups in case, but if you want to have a working file. Bring back the USB.
And then
Just close and exit. Close it.
Yeah. Yeah. What do we do?
I never was how do I get the other content browser that has the blueprint with the character? So his content browser is different than the one I have.
Thank you.
I went and tried to import it.
So like, what do you mean? Like, he has different stuff. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So he's in the project, and you're not. Right? Like, you're in my project too. You need to be in Quest.
Okay.
So
when you said the close and it closed,
you want to close this? Yeah. So we will save. So essentially, what you want to do is you want to go back to how to launch Unreal Engine again.
And you have to launch just that map, or
No, you like let's pretend we're just going to open Unreal again, right? And then when you open Unreal, you can tell what the project is, right? So yeah, there you go, launch.
Yeah. Those students, if you have one USB, you can keep that USB. If you have two USBs, can you give us the second one better?
okay, so I was in the wrong folder. That's why I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
I probably exited instead of something.
Extra USBs, I will grab those.
Yeah, I mean, a couple bumps, obviously. They're doing it. Everyone did follow along with their own speed. That's what I was saying. Just it's more like, they're doing all like smart anticipated. Like it's very like introductory. So I think the content we have, they can read. They're not going to be behind anything. I think tomorrow's going to be like a strong day.
Oh, it was a great day. I mean, it was awesome. It's a great introduction. I really wish I wasn't leaving.
Yeah. So we'll get you the info.
There it is right there.
Yeah, look on it. There you are.
So you can mess around with that.
And I know that it's yes, it's different a lot. I'm the type that watches and time to get it.
Yeah, definitely.
There is that YouTube that I have in mind. It's top-down shooter.
Yeah, that one I wrote it down.
Anybody can do that.
That's probably a better fit for beginners than this is.
Yeah, this is more.
Hard. It's just
This is more like visual scripting.
is the visual scripting built into that shooter?
Yeah, it's only visual scripting.
Okay.
You only use
Sorry, I just want to grab myself.
You also